and organizing locally can sometimes feel a little bit intimidating, but as we've touched on episodes in the past, it doesn't have to be. Being part of the Latinx environmental movement can look different in a lot of different ways, whether it's your abuela passing down her knowledge on brujeria and herbs and cooking, or your amigas organizing a protest in your community.
Today, I'm so excited to share the inspiring work that's been taking place in Hudson County, New Jersey, my home county, to show you real-life examples of what it looks like to organize at a local level. According to the 2019 census, 76% of the people living in West New York, New Jersey, my hometown, are Latinx, and that's not a surprise to me. If you ever happen to visit West New York, New Jersey, you'll be greeted by Cuban panaderias, Salvadoran pupuserias, Colombian cafes. I grew up with this and I loved it. I love being part of a community which I could be myself and where I was welcome. I was so lucky to grow up in that environment, and I'm so glad that my parents still live there to this day, and I can always go hit up the same spot for the best Colombian empanadas. I won't tell you where to go though, because that's my secret to keep.
So Crystal's been telling me a lot of really exciting things about her hometown, and over the last few years, Latinx organizers in Hudson County have been making strides for environmental justice, and we're so happy to have two of those activists with us today. One of them is former Democratic Congressional Candidate for New Jersey's 8th District, Héctor Oseguera. And we also have with us today Patricia Danielle Cobos, who is the founder of Elite Stardust Collective, which is an environmental community organizing group bringing sustainability efforts to New Jersey. They've both been working on the Hudson County Compost Initiative, which aims to implement a municipal compost program that will improve the quality of life in Hudson County by providing the community with a sustainable waste management system.
And now we have the pleasure of welcoming Hector Oseguera. He is Dominican American, and like me, he was born in Hoboken, New Jersey, but raised in West New York, New Jersey. He's a graduate from Boston University and the New England School of Law. He's an avid supporter for a Green New Deal and has been on the front lines spearheading affordable housing and social, racial, and economic justice initiatives in Hudson County since 2012. Welcome, Hector.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Let us know a little bit about who you are.
So, like you said, my name is Hector Oseguera. I was born in Hoboken and raised in West New York. Mommy is Dominicana. She came here in the 70s, and my father was Hondureño. He came in the 80s. And, you know, I had a very, I would say, typical Hispanic American upbringing. Lots of Café Bustelo and Goya in the crib, even though they're canceled right now.
Oh, God, they're so canceled.
Yeah. But, you know, it was a regular, I would say, immigrant upbringing. My parents always stressed that an education was a path to the middle class. I think that a lot of our parents who come here from abroad or from Latin America, they really try to instill in us this sense of, you know, you can really make it if you try your hardest, if you do your best, if you, you know, put education forward and really have love for your community and have love for yourself and for your culture, then you can succeed in this country. And I think that our parents really sacrificed themselves to give us that sort of upbringing. So I'm very proud to stand here as a lawyer. Not too many Dominican kids from Hudson County get to go to law school. And so, you know, I really did my best to make my parents proud and make the best of all the sacrifices that they made for me. So I had a pretty typical Hispanic American upbringing, and I just really got into progressive politics when I was in college. I started to learn a lot about economics and politics, and I started to find my way around the world, and I really decided that progressive issues is where my heart was, and got involved with a couple campaigns. When I was in law school, I worked I volunteered more accurately for the Elizabeth Warren campaign. Once I got out of college, I worked for the Bernie Sanders campaign again as a volunteer. And then in 2018, I volunteered on a fellow BU grad AOC's congressional run. And so I just had a love for politics. I really wanted to make change in my community. So eventually I decided that I'd give it a shot myself.
What inspired you, besides this, like, you know, Latin American upbringing that you had? What was like the pivotal moment for you that changed things and made you run?
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple of like moments. Like I think we all have these political awakenings, and it's not just one incident. It's a confluence of a lot of incidents. So obviously, the election of Donald Trump is something that really, even though I was politically aware and active before that, it really sort of like woke me up to a new reality of like, how could somebody like this become president? You know, I was surprised on election night. I think a lot of people were as well. To find somebody who we felt was so out of whack and so, you know, manifestly inept and incompetent rise to the highest office. And I started to really look inward to my community and say, you know, I guess I started to question is how could the Democrats do such a bad job that they would let somebody like Donald Trump get elected? And so I started looking at my own community and I came to realize, you know, the same people who are in power now have been in power since I was a small child, and it doesn't seem like things have gotten any better. So what inspired my run for Congress is really recognizing the issues that were important to the community and recognizing that things are not moving in the right direction. And I just sort of saw that nobody was going to challenge the incumbent this time around. And I felt that, you know, if nobody else was going to do it, you know, I might as well step up and try myself. Again, my parents always instilled this sense of initiative in myself that if you think you could do a better job, if you don't see anybody stepping up to the plate, you are just as good as anybody else. You have just as much a right as anybody else to put yourself out there and put your ideas forward. So I was really concerned about the future of the district when it comes to a bunch of issues, whether that's affordable housing, whether it's Medicare for all, whether it's environmental issues.
Crystal was telling me about where you guys grew up and how it's majority Latinx in your community. What are some of the things that are impacting the community that you were running for?
Yeah, so I think that especially when you talk about national media, they want to boil the community down to just immigration and say, well, the only thing that the community cares about is immigration. But I think that that's a huge misconception. For the most part, when we come to this country, we're already here. So, you know, immigration is important to us in the terms of we want it to be fair and just for other people, but we're already here. The issues that are really impacting the community are the same issues that a lot of people care about. It's education, funding for our public schools, it's healthcare, making sure that we have access and the ability to go see a doctor when we get sick, because in the community, we suffer from a lot of issues, whether it's asthma, whether it's high blood pressure. I know a lot of people in my family have high blood pressure. I've had family members pass away from heart attacks or suffer heart attacks. And so healthcare is a big issue. And the environment is a big issue because I think that we as a people really have a love for nature and for greenery. And, you know, we come to the Garden State and come to find that we have high asthma rates, the water has lead in it, all these sort of environmental issues that we bear the brunt of because we are a predominantly working class community. We don't live in those suburban, predominantly white communities where they are, you know, privileged enough to not have to worry about the air quality or the water quality. We really do have to worry about these things. We live, especially in this district, it's right on the waterfront with the Hudson River. When the sea levels start to rise, we're going to be at the forefront of those changes. So those issues are very important to the community. I feel like our community specifically can play a pivotal role in electoral politics because we're not diametrically conservative or progressive. We really have, it's not a monolith. We have so many different issues that we're really up for grabs. And I'm sure anybody in the community can say, you know, you have family members who are very conservative. You have family members that are very progressive. In my own family, I have members who are Trump supporters, and then I have, you know, socialists in my family. So we don't fit into a neat little box. People try to always put us into this little box, but we have a lot of very important priorities that I think that are up for grabs for whoever is really speaking to the needs of the community.
That's so important to remember that the Latinx people as a whole, it's not a monolith. We come from so many different places. We have so many different dreams and interests and priorities. And it's so great to see people like you who have such a passion to make this world a better place.
Why do you think it's important for Latinx people to support a Green New Deal?
Well, I think that issue is very important because, like I said before, we're kind of at the forefront of environmental racism that impacts the community tremendously. Even those who are on the more conservative spectrum, I think could be won over when you start to bring it home and ask them, don't you think, people, especially the conservative members of the community would always say, oh, you're always talking about all this free stuff. You're going to give away all this free stuff. I'm like, yeah, free stuff like air that you can breathe and water that you can drink, like all this crazy free stuff, and even those who are more conservative, they understand, like, yeah, even if I support Trump, I don't think there should be lead in our water. I don't think that we should be suffering from high asthma rates because of the air quality. There's a town in the district called Kearney, and in Kearney, there's a landfill called the Keegan landfill. And the fumes were toxic that were coming out of this landfill, so much so that they had to cancel soccer matches, that the schools nearby had to close their windows to make sure that the kids were not breathing in those fumes. And whether you could be the most conservative, far right-wing person, I'm pretty sure you don't want your child going to a school where you're breathing in toxic air. I'm pretty sure that you don't want to have to worry that when you turn on your faucet, that you're drinking water that has lead in it. So I think that it's important to fight for environmental issues because, as a matter of fact, whether you're very progressive or very conservative, I think it's very easy to agree to the fact that this is one of those issues that is going to affect us predominantly and that you should care about because it's going to affect you and your family. Flint, Michigan is now occurring in Newark, New Jersey, but a lot of people aren't really talking about that because it's a predominantly Black and brown community. So you don't have these sorts of headlines, the way you did with Flint, Michigan, which in and of itself took a long time for the national media to take notice of. But now we have it going on in Newark. There's a very large, Black and brown constituency there that is largely being ignored. And so it's important to fight for these environmental issues because, in a country as advanced and so-called civilized as this one, these are not issues that we should be having to deal with. We shouldn't have to worry about whether we can breathe the air or drink the water here. And so no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, I think you can agree to the fact that these are not issues that we should be having to worry about.
It's so true. Like, whether you believe that climate change is real or not, it's coming and it is here and it's going to affect you and your family. And that's why we're fighting for this. We're fighting for everyone. It's not a political thing. It's like we want to have a livable planet for all of us and for all of our children. What are some of the environmental initiatives that you've supported in like locally in Hudson County?
My greatest supporters were environmental groups. There's a group called the Climate Mobilization in Hoboken that endorsed me. Basically, every chapter of the Sunrise Movement endorsed me. There's a youth group called Youth Climate Strike in New Jersey that endorsed me. And they came to my side and wanted to stand with me in this campaign because they saw me out there fighting for the issue. So there's a new power plant, a frack gas power plant that they're trying to put in North Bergen, New Jersey, that got a lot of pushback from environmental groups. And eventually they nixed that project. The mayor of North Bergen, Nick Sacco, and Governor Murphy decided not to go forward. But now there's a new project that they're trying to put in Kearney, New Jersey, which is another frack gas power plant for NJ Transit. And again, I've been there with the members of the community. I've spoken at public hearings in Hoboken, letting the elected officials know that this is not something that the people want. This is something that industry is trying to push upon us and that is only going to benefit them and it's going to hurt us. So currently that's the big fight that environmental groups are really worried about, is this frack gas power plant that they're trying to put up in Kearney, New Jersey. And that if we don't do something about it now, later on, it's going to be too late. Once this power plant is up and operational, it's too late to start organizing then. And even though it's a little bit outside of Hudson County, it's in Essex County. Like I said, I've been working with the Newark Water Coalition. I've delivered a couple pallets of water to them as well, making sure that the people of Newark have drinkable water in their homes. And I definitely don't want to forget that there's the Elite Stardust Collective that they've got a big compost project that they're working on. They are doing amazing work in North Bergen. North Bergen definitely is one of the greener parts of the district. And I definitely want to make sure that their composting project is as successful as possible.
You know what I love about this conversation is that to really win and to really have a livable planet, we need to do small things, and we need to do big things, and we need to do personal things, and we need to do systemic things. It's like all of those things have to exist at once. It can't just be one or the other. We have to just do it all, and then hopefully we'll have a better future.
So what's next for you, Hector?
Well, now that the campaign is over, I've really gone back to my roots, which is progressive organizing. Now that the campaign is over, I sort of feel liberated of electoral politics, because the fact of the matter is that people think that politics is going to a voting booth once every 2 or 4 years. And politics is so much bigger than that. It's really about what sort of society we want to live in. But everybody sort of wants to think of politics as only being about elections. So now that the election is over, I can go back to those people and I can say, listen, I'm not coming to you for a vote. I'm not coming to you for a donation. I don't want anything out of you. I just want to ask you, what do you want to improve about our community? What can I do to make this a better place for you to live in? And I think that that's sort of like the heart and soul of politics that people don't really think about too much, and sort of gets lost. I'm not asking you for anything other than to tell me, what can I do to make your life a better and more sustainable and more green and more beautiful? Because that's, at the end of the day, what politics is really about, is about community building. So that's really what's next for me. I'm just gonna go back to being a member of the community and doing what I can to make this a more beautiful and more welcoming place for everybody who lives here.
That sounds amazing. Whenever I'm back, we have to go and get like a chimney shake or go to Noches or something, get an empanada. We'll set it up. But oh, nice, thank you. I'd also love to know where people can find more information about you, where they can follow you.
These issues don't go away. Whether I won or lost this campaign, these issues are going to be important to the community no matter what. And so I want to make sure that people know that I'm going to continue to fight for these issues. I'm going to continue to fight for affordable housing, healthcare, public education. So you can find me at oseguera2020.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Hector. This has been super, super amazing. Again, so proud to know you. So proud to, have been born in the same place as you. So proud to call you a friend and a comrade. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And now we will hear from Patricia Danielle Cobos. She was born and raised in Hudson County by Ecuadorian, Dominican, and Cuban parents. After seeing the corruption in property taxes and how it affected her parents' finances, as well as learning about the climate crisis, she started Elite Stardust Collective to create a space to inspire others and fight against economic and environmental injustice in the community.
Thank you for considering Elite Stardust Collective to interview. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here, to be heard, and to have this opportunity to spread the seeds of love and harmony. So thank you so much.
What inspired you to start Elite Stardust Collective?
We all have the power to change the world, and I knew that I had the responsibility to help save the planet. My mom always told me that there's strength in numbers, and she's right. I know I can't do it alone. I don't want to do it alone. No one can save the world alone. And if anyone is expecting a solo savior, it's really unrealistic. Saving the world, I think, is a collaboration. So I asked my friends to join me. The following morning, I had a surge of energy, and I was called to make it an official team. Originally, I was asking my friends to be my counsel and help me decide what's the right course of action when it comes to building a social media platform where we can get the word out about helping ourselves in Hudson County or the tri-state area in general. So the goal was to make our information bite-sized, straightforward, and appealing. We also wanted to we wanted the world to recognize New Jersey as the Garden State, because we are the Garden State, but I feel like we need to earn it, because let's be real, we're dirty. Jersey is just dirty. So we have to earn that title by transforming and supporting those dreams of our urban towns. I believe we can definitely be the Garden State Guardians, and I can see it's happening already. This collective, it's it's evolved so fast because my friends took this whole operation seriously. We spent most of the year together planning, creating, and collaborating with friends, other organizers such as yourselves, and local small businesses. It's honestly been incredible working with dedicated, like-minded people every day. So we're blessed to share this mission with them. And I mean, it shows me that we're not alone in our dreams. There are so many people across the planet who share the dream. So that's the blessing.
That's awesome, Patricia. Can you tell me a little bit more about like what kinds of initiatives you're undertaking as a group?
We spearheaded the compost petition for Hudson County. And since we launched the petition, we've received so much support and feedback from local like-minded self-starters who are already making the changes. We're working with a few organizations to help us evolve our compost initiative. We love the guidance, the wisdom, and intel our connections have given us.
Awesome. And where can we find more information about Elite Stardust Collective if we want to get plugged in?
Elite Stardust Collective does have Facebook, Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram, and also keep up with us on YouTube. We have made our information super easy to digest and accessible. We also offer new and full moon meditations to help ground and heal everybody. I also invite everybody to please take that survey, the Compost Initiative survey, so that we have a better understanding of what our needs are so we can get this done.
That's so dope. Well, thank you so much again, Patty. It's so good to see you, and hopefully we'll see each other in person very soon when I come to Jersey.
Yes, please. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
And that's all we have for the show for today. Thank you so much por pasar un tiempito con nosotros en Planeta G. If you have felt inspired to start community initiatives in your area, let us know. We'd love to support you. And as usual, if you have any questions, please just put them in the comments below and we'll try to answer them in the following episode.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button and text Planeta G to 877-877 to stay updated, and follow us on Instagram at Greenpeace USA. Bye, Val! Woo!